Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of, I was going to say Page Fights, but it's Get Smart about email marketing. And I say Page Fights because I've been modeling my this whole series after Page Fights, which is a joint production with Unbounce and Conversion XL. It's fantastic. It's coming up in a few weeks, and it's also all about landing pages, which is our topic today for Get Smart about email marketing. So, there we go. And I just want to remind everybody that if you're watching live, if you're on the landing page, then you can subscribe to the to get updates if you haven't already. Would love to keep you in the know. And without further ado, today we're going to talk about using. There's a lot about conversion optimization when it comes to landing pages, split testing, et cetera, et cetera. Today we want to try and focus a little bit more on growing your email list and doing it responsibly when it comes to using landing pages. So with me, and in my mind, there's very few people who are as qualified to speak about this as our esteemed guest today. So Georgiana, who's the director of marketing at Unbounce, is joining us today, and we're going to just get right into it. But first, hi, how are you, Georgiana? Welcome.
Hi, good. How are you, Stefan? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, let's just dig into this, right? Because we're talking about growing our email lists, and the easiest thing that a lot of people do is they put a subscribe, like a subscription box on their blog or on their website. Maybe it's off on the side or at the bottom or whatever. But a landing page or a dedicated page makes a ton of sense for for growing your email list or asking people to subscribe. What do you think in that context? Like, why is one better than the other, or really let's just weigh the pros and cons a little?
Yeah, I personally don't think it's a one or the other scenario. I think they both are super valuable. We use both at Unbounce. For example, I mean, if it's for a subscription to your blog, it can make a lot of sense to use the sidebar form just to make it easy for them, but you've sort of qualified your blog at that point. They're on your blog, they're reading your posts, let's say, they have your entire blog to sort of qualify whether or not a subscription would be valuable for them or not. But if it's for something that they haven't yet seen or haven't been able to qualify, or it's like something new like an ebook or a webinar or a podcast or a number of pieces of content that you could be producing and using that to grow your list, well, of course, you need to qualify that. And you can't do that with a little box in the sidebar of your blog. Dedicated page really does work the best. And also, of course, you can use all sorts of additional qualifying factors like USPs and benefits and a nice form and a thank you page. And there's just a lot more. You can do a lot more hand-holding through the process and qualify a lot better with the landing page, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great point about the hand-holding and especially the USPs, because I know that there's a lot of places, a lot of different things that you can add. I mean, beyond just your name and email address, beyond just the form, really, right? There's people use videos, they use social proof, they use testimonials. There's all kinds of different things, and I think we'll probably touch a little bit about that on that, in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all right, quick follow-up question. Do you see, for your blog, do you guys see a difference, or have you even tested, having that subscription box, let's say, off to the side or at the bottom or even in a pop-up? And God, I want to say pop-up, people are going to scream at me, but
Yeah, we try it all, actually. I'm actually not. They've been testing a bunch of stuff in the last couple months that I haven't been able to keep up with, to be honest with you. We've done sidebar, we've done a dedicated landing page, we've done at the bottom, we've done an exit overlay. I think right now we're testing an exit overlay, and that's just for, like I mentioned before, for blog subscribers. So it's a little bit different than, let's say, somebody who's running a webinar or launching an ebook or something like that. So I really do see those as quite different things. I mean, they always say like the medium is the message, and always pay attention to who your audience is. And in that particular case, for a blog, it's like I said, you're qualifying it. If your blog is awesome, it doesn't matter where you put your subscription box. People are going to find it because they want to subscribe to your blog, and that's really the goal for that, because you don't need to qualify above great blog posts, super content, well written, well designed. Like that's you selling the subscription to your blog. But like I was mentioning before, an ebook or a webinar or something like that needs to be qualified a little bit differently. So, I mean, Test results difference, I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I could maybe find out. I could probably talk to Dan, our content strategist, and get some numbers for you, but I actually don't know off the top of my head.
No, that's totally cool. You don't have to do that. It's all right.
So many tests, so little time.
Yeah, seriously. And you're right. I mean, if you have great those exit ones, I think if anything, I kind of like them better than the better than the ones that pop up immediately when you come onto the page. But that's a whole different conversation. And I think you're bringing up a really, really interesting, a really good point, that if we're talking about growing your list and we're talking about growing your blog, it's what list really, here's what it comes down to. What list are you trying to grow? And so is it a webinar list? Is it an ebook list? Is it just a general, hey, I'm really interested in your stuff or your blog or whatever? You have to really, I think it makes sense to think that out ahead of time so that you can create that value proposition on whatever page you're going to do it. Even if it's inside a big sign-up box at the bottom of your blog, you can set that expectation and set it up so that people know what they're getting when they just like when they get, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought because it was going to segue into the next thing.
I think you were talking about knowing, the specific lists and knowing who you're talking to and being, personalized of an experience as you can give them.
So true, so true. That's exactly what I was talking about. Which was, like I said, the segue. So, the thing I'm really curious about, we probably should get into this a little, is, when you are collecting these email addresses, again, for it's a webinar or not. Let's focus on not the things that have that are more finite. So ebook, webinar, that kind of stuff, right? Things that you probably would use a landing page versus a subscription box for on your blog. Now you have that right now. That it's finite. It's something tangible. Like this series, for example. Next month we have our final episode. What am I going to do with these guys now, right? I've collected a bunch of email addresses as a result of this. I found this really awesome tool to create landing pages. Gee, I wonder who those guys would be. And it's Unbounce, in case anybody couldn't figure that out. So yeah, I'm collecting all these email addresses, but now what do I do? And I would love to get your take on how to maybe move people through a process where you're collecting their email addresses and then moving them to something else that doesn't have that specific application to why they signed up. And what do you guys do, or what are your advice in that sense?
Well, there's a ton of ways to skin that cat, of course, but what we do is we have one bigger list and we segment like the bejesus. We have to. There's no way. But I mean, in this particular case for this series, it's all about email marketing. So you know that anybody who subscribed to your list during this series is really interested in email marketing. So you're not going to hit them up after this series is up with something about maybe you will, but ideally you might not hit them up with something about like Google Plus marketing. You'll continue to talk to them about email marketing because you know that's what they're interested in. You also know that their format that they enjoy is live presentation like this. You also know where they signed up from potentially, so you know their channel. So you have some pretty good information about these people, what's going to make them happy and what might drive them away, and obviously do the things that are going to make them happy. Give them what they want, and if they've asked for email marketing information, provide more of that. Obviously, the same. Everybody, I feel like everybody must know this, right? Like, don't bombard your list. Provide value. Don't talk about things that are irrelevant to them. Stay super, super relevant and on point, and be kind, and always give them a way out.
That's true. And you're right. You'd think that everybody would like to totally get this, and especially when it comes to these types of event signups, man, oh man. I'm sure you know it too. Like, I've seen so many companies drop the ball on that, and it's just, all right, you signed up for our webinar, and then now we're going to add you to our newsletter. Right?
Yeah.
And some of them are content marketing companies, which really gets my goat, because it's like, you guys should know better, of all people.
Yeah. I think what happens is sometimes the companies just think it's worth it. The risk they might find that it's worth it, and if they lose people, they lose people. But it's sort of a decision you need to make, and it's probably it would be an interesting thing to test. Obviously, it's not like best practices to hit up everybody on your list about everything that you're doing, but like I said, some people might find the risk worth it, but it's definitely a risk for sure, especially now. People are so they deserve more. There's so many lists to be part of that, as soon as one sends you one bad email, you're like, I'm done. Like, no more. I don't have time to delete another email.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit over to landing pages, because I think at this point we've made a really good, compelling reason for having that. Let's talk a little bit about what are the key, in your mind, and this is a little more educational. I'm totally just going to throw it over to you. What are some of the things that you guys you guys advocate? And for anybody who's watching that hasn't seen page fights, you seriously get your learn on when you watch this, because they rip a whole bunch of them apart, and you can really learn a ton. So check out pagefights.com. Get on that subscription list so that Georgiana can tell you all about the upcoming episodes. But I would love to hear from you, kind of like the anatomy of a really good landing page, especially for email acquisition.
Okay. Yeah. So the page fights is kind of like the reverse engineering of this a little bit, because we talk a lot about the 5 elements of a high converting landing page, and we do advocate using these 5 specific elements. It sounds really simple, but obviously you need to put quite a bit of thought into these things. But page fights sort of like takes it from a done product and rips it all apart until we're talking about you did a really bad job of this element, or you did a really great job of this element. So page fights is a really unique way to think about the 5 elements of a successful landing page. So anyways, those elements are, for anybody who doesn't know, is your unique selling proposition. So that is communicated on a landing page via a headline, a subhead, basically you're communicating what makes you different, what makes your, well, maybe not you, but your product or your ebook or something different than the others. You're communicating the instant value. Headline is the thing that somebody's going to read right off the bat, and if it's not relevant, in particular, if it's not relevant from where they came from as well, it could hurt you. But yeah, that unique selling proposition is really important. Hero shot is another element, one of the 5 elements, and that's it could be a photo, it could be a photo of a person enjoying your product, or you're reading your ebook or whatever. It could be a photo of the ebook or a graphic of the ebook. It could also be a video. So that hero shot, just basically its job is giving sort of a visual representation to what your offer is. Sometimes it'll be the photo of a webinar guest, that kind of thing. So that you need some sort of visual representation. There's a lot of people who, photos or images resonate a lot with them, and they don't want to read a bunch of text. So after they've read your headline, after they've seen that visual, then you can go into sort of listing the benefits. And so, a version of what that might be on a landing page that's promoting an ebook might be, the list of things that they will learn. It could be the description of the author, or an overview of what the ebook is going to be about, and then very specific things, listed out in bullet form. We've tested paragraph versus bullets numerous times. Bullets definitely works. They're very easily digestible, and they communicate very directly what somebody's going to get from downloading your ebook. So that's your benefits. And then social proof, of course, is really important. But social proof can be testimonials. It could be somebody speaking on your behalf. It could be tweets. It could be, not in the case of an ebook, but I was going to say trust seals and things like that are often would be sort of considered in the social proof element. But yeah, a number of things can be used there. In social proof. And then the last element is, of course, your call to action, which in the case of an ebook page, which we're just going to use that example, would be your form and the button that says download ebook now. So that call to action, that form, is really sort of where the money's at on that page, so to speak. And be nice with your form. Don't give a big long, the general rule of thumb is, qualify, what you're asking for with your form. If it's an ebook and you just want an email address, just ask for the email address. You don't need a ton of information for an ebook. You know what I'm saying? So to ask for the least amount of information as possible, while still being useful. I mean, in some cases, we do webinars, we'll ask for, like, how are you currently building your landing pages? That's an extra form, it's an extra form element that we added in, that we tested, that, although I don't remember if it hurt the conversion rate at all, to be honest with you, but it benefits us hugely on the other end. So even if it did hurt our conversion rate a little bit, we know that the people going through that form are that much more qualified. We can, be that much more valuable to them on the other end, so it's worth it for us. But in a general rule, obviously go with the least. If you don't need the information, don't ask for the information. And then your call to action button should generally be, sorry, I'm rambling, this is my last point. The call to action button, the text on the button should never be submit. Never, never, never submit. And you should try to finish the sentence, I want to. It's a really, really cool way to sort of come up with your button copy. Finish the sentence, I want to. I want to download now. I want to attend the webinar. I want to save my spot. I want to, whatever, get my free t-shirt, whatever it happens to be. But finish the sentence, I want to, for your button copy. And that's sort of the general 5 elements that you would need on a landing page to, basically qualify your ebook or your webinar or your piece of content and get a really nice conversion rate.
I love that. That was great. Thank you.
Sorry, that was like a, I got it out.
There's always the replay now if anybody missed any of that, but gosh, that was fantastic, because it's true. Well, you guys, know your stuff. I mean, how I would expect that fire hose of information from you. And I love that last point about finishing the sentence, I want to, because you see a lot of studies like use the word get instead of definitely instead of submit or anything like that. But I tend to get or download or whatever that action verb is instead of something generic. But I love that because it really makes it more human. And I mean, I know for myself, like I've tried 2 or 3 or 4 words sometimes even, and I don't. Oh, by the way, I don't know about what you think about this, but like for me, I don't do the what's that called? Like everything's what the hell is that called? When the first sentence case is the opposite. It's when the first letter is the first letter of every word is uppercase. It's not that. I do the other one.
You do all lowercase?
No, not all lowercase. First sentence. The first word is capital. First sentence. Damn it, the first letter of the first word is capitalized, and that's it. Instead of like, capital send, capital to, me.
Right,
like,
right. You prefer sentence case to title case.
Title case. Thank you.
Right.
Title case. We'll write that one down. Gosh, I wish I could edit this video afterwards. But
title case is nice though, because it helps people to sort of digest what the words are, right? Those ascenders and descenders, they help. If it's all caps, it's just like, it might as well just be a rectangle. People have a hard time digesting that. I like lowercase too, or sentence case. Sentence case and title case are both really good.
Yeah. I've done. I think for this. Well, actually, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the button right now for the landing page for this show. I basically say, I need this. Send me updates.
Right.
And because that's what I want you to do. I want you to. Because that's all I ask for is really like just your email address. And I was actually thinking about that as well. Like, do I need name and email? You need the name if you're going to personalize it. But then I thought about it afterwards, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. Now, what I would do after the fact, just for anybody who's listening, I'll take this and say, okay, can I send you can I invite you to do something where I'm going to need your name? So now you're going to be essentially updating your record with more contact information for me later on if you want to continue to, if we're going to continue to build on that relationship. And then I'm all set.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So give me a little plug about Unbounce, because we had a question from Carrie-Anne Foster, who was watching.
What
saying,
is it?
how does, I'm trying to find it, but it was, how does Unbounce compare with some of the, or just what are some of the different tools that it offers for this kind of stuff?
Okay, so Unbounce is a landing page builder for marketers. So it allows anybody who does not have, you don't need any like coding abilities in order to use the tool to basically build marketing landing pages. And then of course you can hook it up to all sorts of other tools that you're using. We integrate with a lot of email marketing software. So in this case, obviously that's the most relevant. And also marketing automation is pretty relevant to this as well. So yeah, there's basically, you go in, there's a ton of templates you can choose from, or you can start from scratch, but you can go into the tool and basically, if you have your 5 elements like I described, sort of ready to go, so to speak, like you've got your copy written, your images, titles, things like that, you can go in and just like literally plug it into a template within Unbounce, publish your page within like a second, maybe 30 seconds, and you know, take a little bit of time to pretty up your page, make it nice, publish your page, and then you can use it, you know, in your email marketing, in your social marketing, however you are doing your marketing, send your traffic through to that page to promote your ebook or webinar or whatever it is. But it's super, super quick. It's like the WYSIWYG of champions for marketers, essentially. And yeah, no coding needed. Now, if you want to get nitty-gritty in Unbounce, you totally can. It's super, super flexible. And that's kind of the difference between Unbounce and a lot of the other players in the space, is that Unbounce is actually really robust if you need it to be. And so developers actually love it too. So there's a whole gamut of people that can use it. You can know very little code and love it, and you can know a ton of code and love it.
Yeah, I've done both. I've actually, and even this one, I have. So I actually for this I added. And by the way, for anybody who's using it and needs help, just tweet them, because oh my gosh, I tweet every question and somebody on your team, Hayley, Tia, somebody gets back to me in like 2 seconds usually. It's phenomenal. I mean, you guys that's a whole other discussion, but oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
Oh yeah, totally. You know, and you're right. Like it is very, very simple, and especially compared to, I think also you get the flexibility of being able to track conversions and give different versions of the page under the same URL. You know, wait and then see.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't even touch A/B testing.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch. That's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, just the page builder part was what I was talking about, and then of course there's the whole add-on, the A/B testing, but that's kind of that's like the gravy on top. That's like the big bonus of that of the tool for sure.
Yeah, and that's in landing page services in general, right? That's sort of a benefit to, let's say, using a WordPress plugin, or maybe even if your site has a page template for just a landing page, which is basically stripping out everything else.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, we often get asked, you know, if we have a WordPress plugin, and that question always sort of perplexes me. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, it just, I don't really understand. I mean, I guess maybe it's because people want to have it within the CMS, but it's so easy. There's no plugin is needed really. It's really, really simple to use. I mean, obviously you need an account and you got to pick a template, but other than that, it's just hit publish, and you know, no plugins needed. It's really just as simple as that. If you need it to be. Obviously, if you're using a WordPress, I love WordPress. Our website is on WordPress, by the way. I'm a huge fan of WordPress. I'm not knocking WordPress at all. But once you start to, you want to start testing different versions against each other, then that becomes a little bit more complicated to do in a tool like WordPress.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference between having it, and that's the big advantage in my opinion. You know, you guys also recently came up with, you recently rolled out the ability to do responsive landing pages, and from an email marketing standpoint, I think this is really worth spending a few minutes on, because so many, it's like, I don't know, anywhere between 50 and 55% today, or maybe even a little higher, open email on a mobile device. So how important is it even to be thinking mobile first when it comes to your landing pages? You know, again, regardless of where you design them or who you design them with, but since you guys rolled that out, I've been making sure that everything I do is set up where it has that feature rolled into it. So how important is that, especially from an email marketing standpoint?
This answer is so super simple. Obviously, the answers vary because I mean, it's true. It's been a long time. It's been the year of mobile for what, like 5 years now. And yeah, clearly, it's really important. If your emails are being opened on a mobile device, your landing page offer from that email has to be, friendly for people on mobile devices. I mean, it just makes sense. You don't want to send, they open the email, like I said, on their phone. If they're interested in your offer, well, you can't send them to something where they can barely see, or it's just not a good experience. And so many people do it. But yeah, we do have that feature now. That it was a long time coming too. Don't get me wrong. That was not something that it's relatively recent. And yeah, super excited because it's of paramount importance that you have both desktop and mobile. And in some cases, mobile's way more important. In other cases, desktop's way more important. But at the end of the day, why lose any, right? Why lose anyone? You make everybody happy. And anyways, but your business and
Yeah, and let's use a quick example, right? We talked and we're bringing it full circle because now you're talking about creating a landing page for a specific offer. So if you're going to promote that, now you have a static URL, because again, compared to having to do just having a box somewhere on your website. So now instead of the instruction really being in whatever you're going to do to promote somebody to go to this page, you don't have to say, okay, go to our homepage and click on blah blah blah, or go to this article and then click on, or scroll to the bottom and then here. So like you've now gone down to. People do it though. I mean, but you're now down to one step. It's like, here is my one, whatever advertising I'm doing, here's my one call to action. I want you to go here to this one page. And so now we do that, and so now every time if you think about it now, if I'm going to buy, you could buy advertising for that. So I could push people, I could do AdWords, I can advertise, I could do sponsored posts on Facebook. My God, I can do anything. And a lot of that activity especially is being done on mobile devices. So if you're going to be promoting your landing page with with something that's very conducive to mobile, especially on social and apps and whatnot, you really got to make sure that landing page is set up so that it's mobile friendly, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, particularly if you're spending, direct dollars. I mean, it's time is money, so in all cases you're losing, if you're not optimizing that experience. But particularly when it comes to PPC or social ads and things like that, that's directly throwing money down the toilet if you're not optimizing that experience for people. And like you were saying, like direct people to your homepage and click on this link. Like why would you, out of 10 people that actually bother to go to your homepage, 5 maybe are going to find that link, then 3 might get kicked out for some particular reason, and then you end up with 2 people on your landing page to convert, when you could have had all 10 get to your landing page, and then you worry about your conversion rate. Like, it's why lose anybody at any stage? There's no reason for it. Have a direct URL, make things as simple as possible, reduce all the leaks. Actually reducing links, it's a really important point, which I didn't mention before about like successful landing pages, is don't throw a million links on there. That's the whole point of a landing page. The only thing that should really be linked from your landing page is that CTA button. That like call to action is the only link that should be there. Now, in terms of like an ebook, there's a few cases where you might, privacy policy, it should open maybe in a pop-up box, but not in a whole new window. To keep them on that page, whatever you can do to keep them on that page, you should do it. No links to like your about page or your Facebook page or your Twitter account. Like, those are all leaks. And as just we were saying, optimize the experience as much as you possibly can. Funnel them through, and set expectations and meet their expectations when they get there. That's why one of our biggest, a lot of our clients are doing paid marketing, because they can control that funnel so carefully and deliver on expectations from their ads, rather than sending through to a homepage where it's just like this big riddle of all stuff. Homepages are very valuable, but that's like Grand Central Station there, and not a targeted experience. So yeah, probably.
Again, very very good point. Now, Got a quick question for you from one of our audience members, and I can kind of answer this. And you also have, I think, an article in your help section about it too. But it's from Jen. I'm going to pull it up on the screen because I can, and I think the whole thing will pop up. No, it's not coming up. All right, never mind. There we go. What is the effect on SEO when you have your landing page hosted? And if you set up a subdomain, will your Unbounce-created landing page appear to be part of your site from the spider's point of view? It's actually part of Rand Fishkin's Moz whiteboard this past Friday.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't cite you guys and talk about landing pages, but he was talking about subdomains versus subfolders and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. See, this question, I don't have the perfect answer to this. And you know what, the help article on our website is probably way better. Early on, essentially, it's SEO really isn't part of this. I mean, if you do want a page to rank, if SEO is important to you, make it important to you on your blog, for your blog posts, things like that. Your marketing landing pages are kind of temporary. So, I mean, they can rank, don't get me wrong, they can rank in Google, like, you know, really well, but it's not really the point of these pages, right? Specifically if it's for an ebook or something like that, you might want your blog post to rank really well, and that would be much more valuable to you anyway, to have your blog post about that ebook rank really well, and then that leads to your landing page. Or, you know, if it's for paid marketing, you don't really want it to rank organically anyway, right? Because you don't want to muddle with your traffic sources, and you want 100% of that traffic that gets to that landing page, you want to know exactly where they've come from. So again, you don't want them to rank. So actually, the majority of the time, we tell people turn off crawling. There's a button that you can set in Unbounce to turn crawling off, and the majority of the time, we tell people to do that. But yeah, I'd love to hear what Rand said about subdomains, though.
It was really it's a super quick recap. I'll make sure that in the replay I link over to it because it was a great discussion that he had with himself because it's a whiteboard, but whatever. But essentially it was, you know, the subdomain is a separate website just as whereas a subfolder on your website, just as a separate website is even a separate domain altogether. Right. That's the gist of it. So if you think about it, any link equity that your landing page is building isn't necessarily being transferred as well over to your website, even though it might be a subdomain. So that's kind of that's the gist of it. But I totally agree with you. I mean, it's totally a temporary thing. And what I've actually done, so just so you guys, I mean, what I've done here,
usually, right?
What's our?
The landing pages are campaign based, so it's, you know, organic listings are just, it's not really the point usually, but
yeah. Now, if you think about it, one of the components of SEO really, and I know we're getting totally off topic, but it's been on my mind, so I'll talk about it. So, one of the components of this is, you know, with the SEO part is link building. I mean, it's part of it, right? So you're getting people. So if you're doing this series, for example, you're getting people to talk about this series. Maybe they're going to write it up. You want to link to it from different areas. What I'm actually doing is I've created redirects from my website, and so the actual landing page, I'm trying not to share it as much so that I'm not getting too much traffic back to it. And I'm trying to get the link that I'm ultimately going to, you know, eventually I'll take the landing page down and then have the main blog post or something like that be the home, but it's the same URL. So I mean, you could try that. I don't know, but again, I really don't know how effective it's. You know, that's really long-term planning, and I don't even know, you know, whether it's worth it. Like you said, there's plenty of other opportunities to do this. Plus, if you ever take down the subdomain, you just bring it back into a way that allows you to do a redirect, so that you're pointing people that do have access to this page for whatever reason, you know, over to somewhere where you can control the experience in a different way.
Yeah.
So there we go. And Jen said thank you. So there we go. I'm glad we were able to answer your question. So we got a couple minutes left. I would love to be able to give everybody some ideas that they can run with for testing. So if you have any like really good A/B testing or conversion testing tips that we can dish out, fire hose, whatever you want, just go for it. I'd love to hear them.
What type of landing page? Because you know.
Question number one.
Okay, well, if we keep with our like ebook example, any one of those, the 5 elements that I was talking about before are obviously like, that's sort of the top of the line. That those should be the first you hit up for testing. Headlines are obviously like number one. Probably test your headline, your USP, I should say, because you know, are people actually interested? Is it a match with where they came from? You know, how personalized could you get? You know, for example, sometimes, you know, when you write a guest post and you send people through to a landing page, you'll say like, hi, Moz readers, and you'll get really personalized. And you can test that, whether or not that personalized experience actually works. We've tested that before. Ollie does that regularly, actually. Yeah, so the headline tests, of course, you know, action words, you know, positives versus negatives, like, you know, don't let this happen to you, or, you know, do this now, or whatever. So positives versus negatives is also a nice idea for headlines. Anyways, there's a million things you could test, obviously, in terms of copy, using my instead of you, your, and things like that.
Bullet points versus paragraph text.
Yeah, for the benefits, yeah, that's a nice test to do too. We saw, what was the difference we saw in that? I think it might have been like a good 20% increase on conversion when we did the bullets versus the text. This is, you know, we on our ebook landing pages, we have a lot of very targeted traffic that goes there, because over the years, you know, we've built up obviously a pretty good list. They know exactly what to expect from us. When we send out an email, you know, announcing an ebook, we know that traffic going to that landing page, they have certain expectations. We know, we've sort of gotten to know how that traffic acts, and how, not, I shouldn't say traffic, but how those people interact with that page. And so, yeah, we can watch our conversion rates go up and go down pretty consistently, depending on what we test. CTAs are amazing to test. Obviously, form elements are a really great thing to test off the bat too. You can, you know, don't take my word for it, right? I mean, test this stuff. Ask for a first name and an email address, and then test another page that only asks for an email address. And, you know, if the conversion difference is very little, then by all means take the first name and personalize your emails if you can. But find out first. Don't, you know, everybody's, you know, audience is different and communities are different, and some people don't mind, some people do. So you have to figure out what's right for your business. And
also, too, test one thing at a time, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just talking about testing ideas.
No, it's okay. Just wanted to remind everybody, like, as you get all these really cool ideas, just do one thing at a time and kind of approach it systematically. Also, like, how much traffic do you think you would need to accumulate on a particular page before you can say there's your test what made sense, right? You actually use statistical confidence.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things to sort of keep in mind. Now, obviously, I'm going to use Unbounce as my reference, but so basically, running this test, what all this means is your original page that you put together with your 5 elements that you're really happy with and you think is a great stellar page that you've published, you've got some traffic to it now. Now you want to run a test. You're going to duplicate that page. Basically, you're replicating it exactly from your first one, and then you're going to make one change, right? So change your headline. Maybe it's just a word in your headline, but it's kind of fun to test big, so maybe change your entire headline, or change your entire CTA, or change, you know, an element, a form element, but don't do more than one at a time, because you won't know which one had the effect, of course. So one test at a time. You're given statistical confidence in Unbounce that'll tell you. You shouldn't stop a test when it's less than, like, you know, aim for like 80-90% or more. In general, that's not the only thing you can go by, though, because you could get, you know, there's so many things at play here. So make sure you're covering the 7 days of the week. It's a really great idea, right? So make sure you're testing for long enough that you're covering Monday to Sunday, because you got to take into account that variance. You want to ideally run longer than 1 week anyway, but make sure you're covering all the days of the week. You never know how a Saturday could be different traffic to a Tuesday. And as a general rule, now there's a lot of like hardcore conversion rate optimizers that, you know, say you need way more traffic than this, but it's hard for small companies, small businesses to get a ton, you know, 1,000 visitors per version, right? So in general, get at least, don't kill me, Pep, but at least 100 or 200 per version. I mean, you're gonna get a sense. This is not to be super scientific. If you want like really scientific A/B testing, you know, there's a whole other slew of things that you should be doing, like double checking with other tools, and you know. But as a general rule, if you're just trying to find out what your audience sort of what resonates with them and move forward, learn something and move forward, get a couple hundred visitors per version, at least cover a 7-day gamut of the week, and wait for statistical confidence over at least 80%. At least 80%. Aim for even over 90. Those are just like general sort of rules. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So thank you. And I love that day of week idea. Oh my God, never thought of that. And I think it makes sense too to try and continue to drive traffic to the page across the entire week, right? Try at the bare minimum, try and do the same level of promotion over the course of the week, because otherwise you don't know if that Saturday conversion rate really has the same, is really, you know, as apples to apples as you can get with the Tuesday conversion rate, right?
Yeah, and actually that reminds me, which I didn't even mention, is ideally too, you'd be creating a landing page for each channel. It's this, you know, it might sound like a lot of work, but depending on what kind of traffic you're talking about here, it might be worth creating a different landing page for your email traffic. So you send out an email campaign, you create a landing page for that, just that email campaign, and then you've also, that same landing page is going to be used for your social campaigns. Use a different, you know, make another version, another page, sorry, not a version, another page that you send your social traffic to, and then you sort of get to know the difference between your email list and your social list, right? And sort of how they react differently. You might end up with different results from your tests, you never know, but at least you can create a very targeted experience and learn all that much more about them and give them that much more sort of targeted experience. Yeah.
Huge point. Thank you.
I forgot that one before, but yeah, it's big.
No, it's, you know what, you're right, because a lot of times you have really great relationships with your subscribers, and then you might be doing, you know, a Facebook post or, you know, some sponsored Facebook advertising where people don't even have no idea who you are. So yeah, you can really tailor that differently with different landing pages. Great point. My gosh, thank you.
Sure, and that's like what I was talking about, like the headline before, right? Like for the example with the guest post example that I was using, but social, same thing, right? So you could say like, hey, Facebook fans, or, you know, whatever, hey, email marketing lovers from your email campaign that downloaded your ebook on email marketing. You can get really create really sort of personalized and targeted experiences, which everybody wants. I mean, it's a better experience when you know that this page is where you should be, and, you know, the company actually knows who they're talking to.
And that's been the whole point of this entire series for us too, just to get smarter about this whole thing and get away from that batch and blast concept. So I'm going to take this opportunity to wrap us up, because otherwise we're going to, you know, we could just keep spewing out phenomenal ideas. Definitely want to encourage everybody to do a trial. If you aren't a customer already, definitely do a trial over at Unbounce. Great stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a 30-day free trial, and I'm going to talk to Tia too about getting you a discount code for Unbounce as well for your.
Thank you. That would be awesome. We'll put that out to all the people who are on the notification list. So if you aren't already, I see a bunch of new faces in our audience today, so that's really awesome. Make sure you stick your email address in that box there where it says, I need this, send me updates, so that we can get you that promo code, try out Unbounce. Georgiana, man, thank you so much. This has really been fantastic, and again, I'm glad we ended on testing, because our next guest, bringing on Justine Jordan over at Litmus in March, and she's going to talk to us about mobile and testing your actual emails. We'll get back into the inbox, but it'll be a really fantastic discussion. So again, everybody, you know, just sign up so that you can get that info. And thank you, Georgiana. I really appreciate it.
Totally, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Stefan.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Take care.